Yeah, so it's a question I get a lot as well. How do you negotiate it? Obviously, is more of a personal dynamic issue, and hopefully you'll know the people well enough to figure out how and when to approach them. But however or whenever you do it, you want to do it strategically. So first of all, know what the current situation is, know your rights and obligations. So take a look at your current contract. Hopefully there is one in writing, but see what it says. So for example, does it say that you're entitled to come back next season, or is this a one-year deal? So know where you stand, and then check out the expectations. If the expectations are that you're going to bring in a certain amount of revenue, get the data. Find out what you've actually done. If the expectation was that you were going to bring in, and I'm picking numbers out of the air here, but $300,000, but you actually brought in $5. Well, that's going to put you in a much stronger position to go and see them and say, oh, look, I would like to come back next year, but I'm going to need to be paid more. However, if you only brought in one, you're going to be in a far weaker position. So I guess what I would say is do your homework, first of all, by knowing what the current contract is and what your rights and obligations are, and then also do your homework by figuring out what value you brought to the table, because really, it's not that different than an interview. You're really going in and selling yourself. And if you are looking for an increase in compensation or any other benefit, you want to go in and sell yourself and make sure they realize that they need you and it's worth the cost. Yeah, again, I'll say this, as I said before, be strategic and realize that this may be very informal. It may be a great casual setting. You may be joining people you already know and consider friends. It's still a legal relationship, and there are rights and there are duties. Some of them will hopefully be set out in your contract. Many of them are set out in legislation. Some will be in the policies. Be very cautious before agreeing to anything. Work with a lawyer, and when I say that, it's a lawyer that specializes in employment law, not your cousin who does real estate law or your corporate lawyer, someone who understands this in and out and can give you the advice you need. And then if things happen, we're generally retained by individuals in three contexts. One is when they've gotten an offer of employment. Two is if they've just lost their job. But the third is when they have employment, but there are ongoing issues. Either there's issues of harassment or bullying, or the job is changing. To give you a context, let's assume that you've been the golf pro for 13 years, and now they brought in a new golf pro, and all of a sudden you're not the one who's handling the tournaments, they are. Well, that could be a constructive dismissal because they're now changing the nature of your job. So we're often approached by people in those situations where they need advice as to how to handle an ongoing situation. What I often say to people is if you think that you need an employment lawyer, you probably do. So don't hesitate to reach out. Ideally, I'd say reach out to our firm and we'd be happy to help you, but make sure it's an employment lawyer. And if you call us or email us, we'll be happy to talk to you and get a sense of what the situation is, and then we can tell you whether we can help you or not, and we can talk about what the costs might be. At the end of the day, you'll make the decision as to whether it's worth proceeding or not. If it is, that's great. We'll be happy to work with you, and if not, there's no harm done. But it's amazing how often I meet people at social events who are kicking themselves because they thought they should go see a lawyer, they were worried about the cost, they didn't bother, and they signed off on something which they realized later was really to their detriment. So be smart before you sign off on anything, and don't hesitate to contact us because, like I said, we're always happy to talk, see if we can help you, and if we can't, then there's no harm done and no cost to you.